Greetings, fellow dungeon delvers, and welcome to Dorans and Dragons, where we work together to come up with Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition builds for your favorite League of Legends champions. Today we're building Leona, the Radiant Dawn. Leona has been a die-hard Solari since birth. She found the rigid structure of the faith to be comforting and supportive. She relished every opportunity to show her devotion to the cause, and it was no surprise that many thought she would become a Raharak, one of the holy warriors of the Solari. During her studies, she befriended Diana, whose natural curiosity caused her to butt heads with her Solari teachers. Leona and Diana bonded over this, because Leona believed that Diana was someone looking for a purpose, and she thought she could provide her with one. As their friendship grew, Diana told Leona about an alcove she had discovered that told her the summit of Mount Targon had answers to her questions. In fear of retribution from the Solari priests, Leona made Diana promise to abandon these thoughts. Diana lied and promised her friend she would stop. Then one night she fled the temple and made the climb to the summit. Leona caught her leaving and followed her, desperate to save her friend. When she finally reached the summit, she found Diana there, bathed in radiant moonlight. Leona tried to reach her, but a column of dazzling sunlight struck her midway. Both women were chosen to become aspects of the sun and moon. Diana begged Leona to join her in showing the Solari that there was more to the world than just their teachings. Leona refused, demanding they turn themselves in to the priests for judgment. The two friends fought fiercely but briefly, the duel ending with Diana's blade along Leona's throat. She could never kill her best friend though, and fled down the mountain. Leona arrived home to a grisly scene. Many priests and Raharak guardians had been killed, seemingly by Diana's hand. Leona swore that she would find Diana and bring her to justice. Before we get started with the build, go ahead and like the video and hit that subscribe button so you're always notified when we release our builds. We'd like to take a minute and thank one of this month's Doran's Blade patrons, Bastion Saber. Thank you so much for your support. It means a lot to us. Bastion chose Leona to build as part of the rewards for our Blade Tier Plus patrons. Come join us over on Patreon today for just $1 to get access to our awesome Discord community where we talk League and D&D all day long. Alright, now let's get into it. I lied actually, one more thing. If you're interested in playing Leona as a dedicated paladin subclass, go check out Ascent to the Radiant Summit, available on DM's Guild and to our Blade Tier patrons. I built Leona as a paladin, who calls down blazing light to stun her enemies, and flings her zenith blade to catch the ones who run from her. Alright, now let's get into it for real. Here's a quick preview of the build. For race, we're going with Variant Human. Per usual, our stats are going to be determined using the standard array. For our stat priorities, we're going to start with high strength and dump charisma. We do have a multi-class requirement of 13 in strength and wisdom. Our leveling path is going to be levels 1 through 7 in fighter, then we'll finish the build as a cleric. Leona's passive, Sunlight, is going to be Psionic Strike. Our Q, Shield of Daybreak, is going to come from Telekinetic Thrust and Shield Master. Our W, Eclipse, comes from Protective Field and Word of Radiance. Our E, Zenith Blade, will come from Psi-Powered Leap. And finally, we get our ultimate Solar Flare from Flame Strike and Hold Person. For race, we're going with Variant Human. As a Variant Human, we'll get a +1 increase to 2 ability scores. We'll go with our Strength and Wisdom. We'll also pick up a skill proficiency in Survival, and of course the reason we take this race, the free feat. Leona is one of the true sword and board characters in this game, and to honor that we're going with Shield Master. Shield Master gives a bunch of strong little features. Whenever you take the attack action on your turn, you can use your bonus action to shove a creature within 5 feet of you. You also get to add your shield's AC bonus to your dex saves, and whenever succeeding on a dex save would still cause you to take half damage from that spell or effect, you can spend your reaction to take 0 damage instead. For background, we're going with Acolyte. Leona is a devout follower of the Solari and is literally chosen by the aspect of the sun. This is going to give us proficiency with Insight and Religion, and the Shelter of the Faithful feature. Basically, anyone who's a member of the Solari Faith will offer assistance and hospitality no matter where you find them throughout Runeterra. For stats, we're going for the balance Diana wishes existed between her and Leona with the standard array. Roll if you want to, but keep at least a 13 in strength and wisdom for multi-classing purposes. We're starting off with strength at a 15, so when we swing our Zenith Blade, things stay down. After that, we're going with intelligence for her devotion to her studies. Wisdom is next for the knowledge gained as the aspect of the sun and her dedication to the Solari. We'll take Constitution after that for a little bit of tankiness. We'll have an average dexterity and dump charisma. For equipment, we need to get some heavy armor. Chainmail will work for now, but we'll want to get some plate armor ASAP. We'll go with a longsword for our Zenith Blade and a shield for our Shield of Daybreak. Alrighty, let's kick off the build with some levels in Fighter. Fighters have a D10 hit die and give us proficiency in all armor, all weapons, and shields. We'll also pick up skill proficiency in athletics for our charging across the battlefield, and intimidation for when we need to roam after we get our Moby boots and scare the crap out of the enemy mid laner. First level fighters choose a fighting style. We're going to crank up our tankiness with defense, giving us a +1 to our AC as long as we're wearing our armor. And the other feature we get this level is Second Wind, which is going to work just like the rune it shares, letting you heal yourself back 1d10 plus your fighter level once per rest as a bonus action. Insert standard reminder about using this before you spend any hit die on a short rest. Second level fighters get Action Surge, which is going to let us cast our ultimate in a single turn by letting us take 2 actions on our turn once per rest. We'll get into that ultimate in a little bit though. Level 3 fighters choose their martial archetype. We're going to get our mobility and battlefield control with Psy Warrior. The only feature we'll get this level from this subclass is Psionic Power, which is a pool of D6 psionic energy die that power the abilities we're about to discuss. The pool is twice your proficiency bonus, and they all come back on any kind of rest. First, we have the shielding portion of our W with Protective Field, which is going to let you spend your reaction and a psionic energy die to reduce damage taken by whatever you rolled plus your intelligence mod. Now technically you can also cast this on an ally within 30 feet, if you want to flavor this as the Guardian rune. Psionic Strike is going to give us the extra damage from our passive by letting us spend a psionic energy die whenever we hit a creature to add our intelligence mod plus whatever we roll in that die to our total damage done. And finally we'll get Telekinetic Movement, which is going to let you move willing creatures or objects up to 30 feet. You can do this once per long rest for free, but if you do it again, you're going to need to spend a psionic energy die to do so. 4th level fighters get the first ability score improvement of the build. As always, we're going to break down all of our choices here so you can pick and choose for yourself along the way. At Fighter 4, we'll pick up the Sentinel feat to give us a little more battlefield control, and catch those fleeing cowards with our Zenith Blade. With Sentinel, our opportunity attacks reduce that creature's speed to 0, effectively rooting them. We also straight up ignore the disengage action, and whenever our allies get hit by a creature within 5 feet of us, we can spend our reaction to take a swing at the attacker. At Fighter 6, we'll start rolling in hit points with the Tough feat, giving us 2 extra HP per level. For those of us not great at math, I pulled out the calculator and confirmed this is going to be 40 extra HP at max level, so nothing to sneeze at. At Cleric 4, we're going to start improving our spell saves by bumping our Wisdom 2 points. Then at Cleric 8, we'll give our Psy Warrior some love with 2 points to our Intelligence. Finally, at Cleric 12, we'll bump our Wisdom 2 more points for the spell love as well. Level 5 fighters gain extra attack, letting us attack twice per attack action instead of just once. Now with Action Surge, we can make 4 attacks in a round, 5 if you use the Shield Master Bash attack. So if you see someone drop a ward, you do a quick auto-Q auto combo to destroy the ward, and then spend your other 2 attacks cutting down the fool who placed it. Level 7 Psy Warriors gain Telekinetic Adept, which is going to give us 2 more abilities to spend our psionic energy die on. Psy-powered Leap is going to give us the dash on our E, letting us spend a bonus action to yeet ourselves by giving us a flying speed of twice our walking speed until the end of our turn. Like Telekinetic Movement, we can do this once per rest unless we want to spend a psionic energy die to do it again. Telekinetic Thrust is going to give us our Q by letting us force a strength save on any creature we hit with our Psionic Strike. If they fail the save, we can knock them prone, or send them back 10 feet in any direction. For Leona, you'll generally want to knock them prone to mimic the stun effect, but if you want to do an epic shield bash and knock them flying, that works as well. Alrighty, now that we have our martial prowess and all of our abilities besides the damage on our W and our ult, we'll head over to Cleric to fill those gaps. Clerics have a D8 hit die and give us no new proficiencies. Clerics do gain power from their Divine Domain. As a Solari, Light is the obvious choice, and is going to give us some domain spells, the Light Cantrip, and Warding Flare. Warding Flare is going to give us yet another defensive option for our reaction, letting us fire off a blast of light to distract a creature attacking us, causing disadvantage on their attack roll. First level clerics also learn first level spells and cantrips. We'll pick up the damage portion of our W with Word of Radiance. You're going to utter a divine word and detonate the creatures within 5 feet of you with a solar explosion. forcing a con save on those creatures and dealing 1d6 radiant damage if they fail. And remember, this is a cantrip, so by the time you get this, it'll actually be dealing 2d6 radiant per creature instead. Second level clerics get their channel divinity, letting you channel the aspect of the sun to either turn undead or perform a domain specific ability like Radiance of the Dawn, letting you blast out a wave of radiant light, dispelling darkness within 30 feet and forcing creatures in that same range to make a con save or take 2d10 plus your cleric level in radiant damage. This is like a baby version of your ultimate, but it'll work until we get it fully at level 9. Level 3 clerics learn second level spells. We're going to get a lesser version of our Q and the stunning portion of our ultimate with Hold Person. Hold Person is going to let us force a wisdom save on a creature and paralyze them if they fail. When you upcast, you simply add a creature for each level of spell slot used above second. We'll clarify the full ult in a minute here. 6th level light clerics get improved flare, letting you provide the same distraction warding flare does whenever a creature is hitting someone regardless of the target. You still have to be within 30 feet of the attacking creature, but that'll work because you're always going to be in the thick of things. Alright, now at 8th level cleric, we're going to have an interesting discussion. Thanks to Tasha's, you have the option at this level for potent spellcasting or blessed strikes. Potent spellcasting is going to give us our wisdom modifier and damage to any of our cleric cantrips, meaning our W is going to pack a wallop, especially if you're in a crowd. Now on the other hand, we have blessed strikes, which is 1d8 radiant damage we can deal once per turn when we hit with our weapon attacks, meaning even more damage from our passive. To me, potent spellcasting feels like the better choice, but I wanted to bring it to your attention so you can make the decision yourself. Level 9 clerics learn 5th level spells. Time to bring our ult online with the Flame Strike spell. First, let's break the spell down. You're going to call down a 10-foot radius, 40-foot high column of divine fire, forcing all creatures in the column to make a dex save, or take 46 radiant damage and 46 fire damage. But that's not all. The ideal combo for Leona's ult at max level is going to be casting Flame Strike at the 7th level, dealing 66 radiant damage and 46 fire damage, action surging and casting Hold Person at a 6th level or lower, depending on how many targets you hit with your Flame Strike. By doing it this way, you can absolutely hit a 5-man ult on the entire enemy team, setting up a huge follow-up for your allies, just like in-game. If you land this, your teammates are going to be spam pinging question marks all over you for the rest of the session. They'll probably do it if you whiff as well, so it's a double-edged sword to be careful of. And at 10th level cleric, we'll get the final feature we'll talk about for the build, which is going to be Divine Intervention. This is going to let us call out to the aspects and ask for assistance with a major plight. You roll a d100 and need to land on your cleric level or lower. If you do, you're granted assistance based on DM interpretation, and you can't use this feature for a week. If you fail though, you can try again once you finish a long rest. Alright, now that we've completed the build, let's see how we did. First, the good. We've unlocked our full aspect abilities, and the Raw Harak are going to want training from you. Not only that, but you're going to be the tank your team needs, even if they're not the team you deserve. Now the bad. Having to juggle our strength, wisdom, intelligence, and constitution push the standard array to its limit, and hopefully your DM will give you some compensation or magical items to assist, because your scores are going to be rough without it. The only other bad part about this build is that we have so many features tied up in our reactions. This is a good problem to have, but there are going to be plenty of times when you make choice X and then kick yourself later for not having the ability to make choice Y instead. So what'd you think? I've included a link to this build via D&D Beyond in the description below, as well as Amazon links to the books used in the build. If you enjoy this type of content, please consider supporting us on Patreon. We have a few awesome rewards, and you get access to our great Discord community. We plan on turning out one League Champion build every week. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll catch you on the Rift, or in the Forgotten Realms.